There was one single habit that allowed me to build my dream life as a multipotentialite and build my agency slash copywriting business to 48K per month, to travel to over 40 countries and do all these other things. And that specifically allowed me to not feel like there's something wrong with me and to actually take all these interests and all these ideas I have and put them into use and get more clarity so I know what to do with my life and to commit to it. The habit I'm talking about is journaling. And I started journaling around 2017 or something. And it has been hands down one of the most transformative habits that I've built over the entire time. And the reason for it is pretty simple. As a multipotentialite, and I see this a lot in friends and I saw it in myself as well so many different times, you're kind of all over the place. And your brain pretty much looks something like this. Okay, you have all these different ideas, you have all these different things you might want to pursue. You look at your life and you're like, this looks cool, I'm also interested in this thing, I'm also interested in this thing. And then you see something online and you're like, wow, this looks really cool as well. And again, you're kind of lost and you kind of probably lack some clarity. I was, at least in the beginning. And you also run into 10 different directions and then you end up being busy the entire day, but you're not really making any meaningful progress to the interests that really are meaningful to you. And once you start journaling, it has a lot of different benefits, but the main benefit that I see, it allows you to actually bring more clarity in your mind and to not be so cluttered and all over the place. Once you start journaling, your brain doesn't look like this anymore, especially if you do it consistently. It starts to actually look more like this. Like very clear, this is hard to draw at the same time. Very clear, very straightforward, and you are able to organize all your different thoughts. And especially if you just start by simply sitting down and writing everything you have in your mind and putting it on a piece of paper. Because the problem is often that you get emotional very fast, you get excited super fast, and you have a lot of different thoughts and ideas, and maybe you feel some shame because you failed at so many different things before and you started and stopped them. And the problem is that you are too close to your emotions and your thoughts. If this, for example, is your brain and you have all this mess in there, then most of the time you're right here with your observant mind, if you don't, without going too far into spirituality stuff. You're too close. You're not able to separate your thoughts. You're not really able to see them from a distance. And because of that, you get sucked into them and you usually act on them too fast, way too fast. And this causes you to be more impulsive. On the other hand, when you sit down and you put all these ideas and thoughts on a piece of paper, you see them from a distance and you get to see them from over here and you're more the observer, okay? You're like, okay, you look at these things, if this is you, okay? This is pure art over here. Anyway, you see these things and these thoughts from a distance. And because of that, you're able to see them more objectively and to reason with more logic than you did before. And you can actually see like, well, you put this down, hey, I had all these thoughts about starting a videographer business. Then I also thought about doing this thing with my friend. I also feel all these different emotions. I also have all these thoughts. I feel a bit guilty about this thing. Maybe I should quit that. The other thing, I doubt myself about this project. And you put this on a piece of paper. And even if you don't do anything with it, this will already be very helpful and useful. But the best part actually comes once you start to look at this stuff and you start to journal through your own feelings and thoughts and you get to a conclusion. So maybe you started to draw for the last 3 months, you've been really obsessed with it, but suddenly now you start to have second thoughts, you're second guessing yourself, you have doubts about the whole thing. And you kind of have this voice that starts to tell you like, maybe you should be starting to do this thing over there. Maybe suddenly you're really into cooking and you should be dropping the drawing thing and you should start to cook. And usually this is the pivotal moment where you start to then stop this thing and move on to the next one for whatever reason. And oftentimes this happens unconsciously and you just happen to move to the next one and then you start to feel shitty and guilty because you did. But if you sit down and you just put it all on a piece of paper and you're like, okay, what are my doubts? What am I thinking about? Is this wrong? Is it because I don't like it? Is it because I don't feel drawn to it? Am I just being weak in this moment? Am I just running away because it starts to get hard? Do I not believe in it, that I can actually push through it and build something with it? Maybe I can become a graphic designer. And by putting this all on a piece of paper, you can work through all these different emotional blockages that you have. And it allows you to, number one, feel more free because you don't carry it around with you anymore. Second of all, it will most likely allow you to see things more clear. And once you start seeing those things more clearly, you are more likely to stick to it because you're not lost in all the doubts that will usually get you to quit and move on to something else. And the third thing is you're more focused. That is the biggest thing. If I see someone like this, and I was like this before as well, before I started journaling, you make things very complicated and your head is in the cloud pretty much. You have all these ideas, all these thoughts, and you're not really focused on what is really important and what is meaningful right now and what you actually need to do right now. And this often leads you to not be productive and not get stuff done at all. And second of all, you get lost in all these different ideas. Maybe you wanted to shoot this one video about this topic, but then you came and you're like, maybe I wanted to talk about cooking instead. Or maybe I saw a friend on the way, maybe we could go there and we could do this thing. And you get super distracted. But once you journal, you actually see what is really important, what are the next steps, and what is really moving the needle for you. And how I use it in my life on a day-to-day basis is pretty simple. So I set this up all in Notion, and I've been doing this for years in Notion. And the biggest benefit actually on doing this is now I can plug this all into Claude Code and I can analyze certain things about myself and draw conclusions from it, which is extremely powerful to have these insights from my own kind of books that I've written over the years. And I also have a whole shelves of journals that I've written by hand, but very simply, I just created a template here on Notion and I made it again as easy as possible for me. And then I just click here and I have my planner with some quotes. Then every night before I go to bed, I just ask myself, what are like the 3 biggest wins I had today? What went better than expected? What did I learn today? And what am I grateful for? Then on the next day, when I wake up, I have my daily wins, just some small habit tracking stuff. And then I plan my day here. I just put all the thoughts and ideas that I have. So whenever I wake up in the morning, maybe I have to do this, maybe I have to book this flight, maybe some admin stuff, maybe I have a YouTube video I want to shoot. I just put it all on the paper. And once I have it all there, I actually start to prioritize and actually look at my list and ask myself like, okay, if this was the only thing I would be doing today and I go through them, would I be satisfied with my day? And the 2, 3 where I have a yes, those are my most important to-dos, which I then put here. They will allow me to be really focused throughout the day and actually get stuff done. And then I have like, what's the most important task today in view of my long-term goals. And then this is the other question which I talked about before in videos. How can I experience the emotions that I regularly want to feel in my life? So I said before that if you go back and you found out what kind of emotions you really valued over your lifetime so far and how you can then implement them more and more into your day-to-day base and life, then you start to feel exactly the way you want to feel actually. And then I just schedule my day.